Hello there and welcome to the 8th in my series of videos. My name's Matt Hazledine from Lymphoedema United, and I share with you my experiences of living with lymphedema over the last 11 years now, and share a few of my tips as well to hopefully help you to live better with lymphedema. Must start by saying, as always, I'm not a medical professional. I'm not here to give advice. I'm helping to share what works for me. It may not work for you, of course, but my intention is to pass on these tips that I've learned, sometimes the hard way, to help others. So if you have any questions specifically about this subject, then do talk to your specialist lymphedema therapist or clinician, or if it's a generic question, then do feel free to get in contact with me at hello@lymphounited.com. So today's topic that we'll be talking about is continuing from number 7, about the 4 cornerstones of self-managing lymphedema. Last time we talked about compression. This time we're talking about skincare, which I've learned the hard way is pretty important. And I dare say, had I have taken more care of my skin 11 years ago, then perhaps maybe I wouldn't have got cellulitis and I wouldn't have got lymphedema. But who knows? What you can't do is change the past. All you can do is influence the future. So that's what I'm trying to do here. So skincare is the topic, and we're going to start with why. Is skincare important? For those of you who don't know, well, this is what I've been told. It's been drummed into me throughout the years by my lymphedema therapists and consultants at various stages, but it's pretty consistent, I have to say. And why? Well, if there's a break in the skin of any description, especially in the affected part of your body that has lymphedema, it can allow bacteria to enter, and that possibly will result in a very painful and damaging infection called cellulitis, which I've had, and I promise you, it's horrendous. So if you can avoid having it, fantastic. We talk about cellulitis in our video number 3, just in case you're interested. The cellulitis that I got, which caused my lymphedema, I was in hospital for 2 weeks with, and it was bordering on sepsis, so pretty nasty stuff. So if you can avoid any of that by a few of these pointers or by getting further information from your lymphedema specialist, then it's definitely worthwhile doing. Part of lymphedema, as we know, is about changing lifestyle, and it does have a big impact on our lives, and we have to make certain adaptations to look after ourselves and manage the condition as effectively as possible. A few of the things that were shared with me early on, which I've stuck to, I'm going to just list through for you. Some of them you might be doing and they're absolutely fine for you, but just to raise a flag to look into it a bit further if you have any concerns about it. So heat is not good for lymphedema. Heat tends to result in swelling, and an open skin can, an area of open skin could of course attract bacteria, and heat and bacteria as a combination aren't good. So I was told very early on to avoid things like hot baths, saunas, jacuzzis, steam rooms, where your leg is in a heated environment. And of course, if there's a little nick of the skin, especially in a jacuzzi, I was told you could get a little bug in there and it could cause a nasty infection. The other thing which I took for granted and don't do today, I have done once or twice, I have to say, and that's walk around outside in bare feet. Stupid, I know, but sometimes absent-mindedly, when I've taken my stocking off, I'll go wandering out to the garage or the garden and then realize quickly, you know, I'm exposing myself to potential infection if I got a splinter on the decking or trod on a stone or got bitten by an insect. So please, if you're outdoors, don't wear bare feet. Don't wear bare feet. Don't go barefooted. Wear shoes or sliders or something to protect your feet from injury. On the subject of injury, shoes. I wore a brand new pair of golf shoes when I was 40 years old and got a blister, and that potentially was where the bacteria got in to cause my cellulitis. Of course, it's very difficult to prove that, but the likelihood at the time was that was the cause. So ill-fitted shoes that rub cause blisters, blisters pop, they cause an open wound. So for goodness sake, try and wear sensible shoes. I know it's hard, they're not great, are they? But at least wear shoes that don't rub and cause blisters, and if they do, treat them, cover them, and keep a very close eye on your feet or your hands if it's gloves you're wearing. So we've talked about cuts and scratches, gardening, for those who like gardening. You know, a scratch by a thorn or a bramble can often cover or be covered in bacteria caused by cats or dogs urinating. And of course, we all know about insect bites by now, so it's good to have an insect repellent, especially when gardening, or wear long sleeved leather gloves and jeans or good protective trousers, and boots if possible if your legs are potentially at risk of scratches. Sunshine, yeah, easy to take off that stocking in the sun, and as I said, go barefooted or wear sliders. Just be very mindful of protecting your skin with high factor sunscreen, and perhaps try and stay in the shade. Don't stay in the sun too long because of the heat as well, affecting the swelling. Now, the other thing that I've been reminded of is to check in between my toes, because we can get dryness of the skin can crack, certainly at the heel and the toes, so I've been told to occasionally to keep an eye on those. And if you get cracked heel, there's a cream, there's an ointment that you can put on there to soften the skin and protect you. And again, things like athlete's foot, check between your toes. If you've got any sign of that, then get it treated. What we can't afford is for moisture to get into those cuts and those sores. Injections, another point to raise. If you have lymphedema in one of your limbs, and you go for routine blood tests, for example, or injections, then make sure you tell them you've got lymphedema in that limb and to use the other one. And if you've got lymphedema in both your arms, they may be able to inject you in the buttocks or in the leg. And if you've got them in the leg, they might be obviously able to inject into the arms. Again, it's one of those things that we need to be aware of. So toenail clippers, that's the other thing. Make sure you try not to nick the skin when you're cutting your toenails. If possible, get somebody to do it, a loved one who you owe many favors to after doing it. But it's difficult to get to your toenails on occasion, especially if you have lymphedema and swelling in your leg. They're not the easiest parts to reach, so you could get some help with that. Moisturizing. Another thing that was drummed in from day one was keeping your skin moisturized and supple, keeping the skin supple. And right from the word go in 2011, my lymphedema therapist recommended Dermol, which is an emollient, an antimicrobial emollient, and I use Dermol 200 for the shower. So I had to get rid of shower gels and replaced it with Dermol 200, which I get on prescription, delivered to my local chemist. So that's for the shower. Hopefully you could see that. There we go, Dermol 200. And then after I've showered, dried thoroughly, done my dry brushing, etc., etc., I apply Dermol 500, which is the lotion, an antimicrobial emollient moisturizer for the management of dry and puretic skin. And it's a soap substitute. And this is the Dermol 500, see in the larger box. And it comes in a convenient hand pump, as you can see here, to apply it directly onto your leg. I can be impatient. I don't sometimes wait long enough for that to soak into the skin before putting on my stocking. It's quite important for two reasons. The stocking will just wipe all the cream off. Secondly, it could deteriorate the fabric of the stocking or the compression garment. So I need to heed my own advice on this one. Be patient, wait for it to soak in, then put on the garment. Okay. For those of you that are seeing an NHS or private practitioner or therapist, you'll know at the 6 monthly appointments, they check your skin, they check in between your toes, they're quite thorough. So in between times, because 6 months is quite a long time in between appointments, then do get into the habit of just giving your skin a quick check over in those difficult places behind the knee or in the armpit, in the elbow crease, you know, as well as the toes as well. Just make sure the skin is intact. There is loads of information on this in organisations such as the LSN, of course. I've got a whole chapter, which is chapter 11 in my book, How to Live Better with Lymphedema. And I'm joined by Kelly Nixon, who is lymphedema. I should know the blooming name by now, shouldn't I? A lymphedema clinical specialist therapist. Okay, so she gives you factual advice on how to look after your skin. So don't just take my word for it as an expert in the book to talk about that. Now, one of the top tips I've got for you today is about prescription costs, because I have both Dermal 200 and Dermal 500. I've used it for, crikey, 10 years now on prescription from the NHS. Now, I understand that currently prescription payments aren't the cheapest in the world. I think it's £9.35 per prescription, and each product for me is one prescription. So that's £9.35 for this one, £9.35 for that one, and I tend to order monthly, which comes to an approximate cost of £224. But with an NHS prescription prepayment certificate, which you pay for in advance or on direct debit if you would like. I pay on direct debit £10.81 per month for 10 months, which is £108.10 per annum. You get the certificate, which means that you tick box F on your prescription form. And for me personally, just using these two products alone, let alone anything else, two products alone, that's a saving of £116 per annum. It's not a bad saving. And of course, if you need anything else on top of that, you're covered by the prescription card. So for example, if you have any medication for controlling cellulitis or preventing cellulitis that you keep in your emergency pack, that's all in addition. So just by looking at those two products, that's £116 saving. So I hope that's been of use to you. There's loads more information on the website and in my book. If you have any questions that are generic that I can help with, then do email me, as I said, hello@lymphunited.com, or speak to your specialist lymphedema therapist or clinician. But thank you for listening. Please subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. There are many, many others on the YouTube channel @Lymph United. Thank you again. Take care.